Ali Akram took to the streets of Wellington, in fact the railway station, and he asked this question.
Equal pay advocates reckon we should know how much our colleagues earn. Do you think it would be a good idea if we knew that?
No, I don't agree.
I don't know, sorry.
No.
Well, I think transparency is always first choice, isn't it?
Yep.
No.
Yes.
If they got nothing to hide, then they shouldn't have any problem with, shouldn't be any problem with it, I reckon.
Would you like to know if there's someone in the office doing the same work that you do and potentially earning more? Would you like to know?
Nah, not really, because then I'd maybe get a bit annoyed with them, but I don't know, I guess not really my business.
Why not?
Because what you earn is your own business.
Problems of uncertainty would be duplicated by all the problems of perceived inequity once you know what your colleagues are earning.
I think it'd be really fair if we could know what they're getting and what the poor man's getting.
I work in human resources, so I know what everybody earns, and I don't get bitter and twisted about it.
What if there was a man who earned more than you and was doing the same job?
It's about me to fight for that with my own manager.
But if you don't know, how are you going to do it?
You value yourself. You value yourself.
You value yourself.
I've got to say, Ali, you've got a great trotting style. Did you learn that on Campbell Live?
No, you just don't let them get away.
You've got a really good trotting style there.
No, that's right. Yeah, trot with the best of them.
Hey, why don't we start with the audience? What about pay equity? I mean, in the audience, because this is a big issue, right? A colleague leaves their contract on the photocopier. You have a look and go, holy hell, you earn 10 grand more. Is this a start, perhaps, to pay equity, a bit more transparency? Ali?
Is that an issue in your workplace?
Possibly. I get to see what other people earn with the position that I have, but
And how does that make you feel when you look at some of those numbers come through? Do you always go, I feel like I'm a part of a fair system, or maybe one that needs a little bit of work?
I would have quite a lot to say about this, but the interesting thing for me is when you talk about pay inequality, you're talking about men earning more than women. I don't understand why it isn't the other way around.
I sometimes don't understand either. Aliens observing our species from outer space would wonder why this happens.
So it's a non-issue. It's a non-issue. It's ridiculous. Why is there any inequality? It's just a bizarre concept.
Yes, but who owns the fix? Is it the employers or is it the politicians?
Well, that's a really good question. Let's run around the panel, because the shocking fact is that women still earn 14% less than men across the board. Why don't we have equal pay for equal work? It sounds easy to me. Matt Ducey, why not?
Well, first to say, I agree with that it should be published. Maybe not at a individualised level where we'd know each other's, but at an aggregate level. I think within organisations they should be publishing that data through things like ethnicity and gender. And
why do women get less, Matt?
Sorry?
Why do women get less?
I think it's probably a hangover of a range of things over the generations, where there's probably factors where previously not many women went into secondary and tertiary education, or they dropped out of the workforce to have
so
kids
what would
and
you
didn't
do
get
if you're the Prime Minister?
supported back in.
What would you do to fix it?
Well, what I quite like, because my background's healthcare, and the joint working group at the moment, the recommendations are in front of Cabinet. It's traditionally a sector around old age care, predominantly a woman workforce that is undervalued and underpaid, and I think we should be looking at addressing that.
Let's go to Jenny Salisa. Have you, in a personal capacity perhaps, has this been an issue for you?
When I was working prior to coming to Parliament, yes. But I've got to say, Wallace, if it's good enough for us as politicians, because as a woman MP, I earn exactly the same as my two men colleagues right here. If it's good enough for us as MPs, it should be good enough for the rest of New Zealand. We should have pay equity across the board.
I mean, I am really saddened by this issue, and actually quite fascinated by this. Why in the 21st century this gap, this mysterious gap, still keeps happening? I want to ask. I mean, why? I don't get it, Fletcher. Why do you think?
Yeah, I don't really get it either. I mean, I think we're actually at a point in our society where we realise that it shouldn't be there, and so the conversation now is about how do we remedy that? And I agree with Jenny, the government sets the set. I come from an education background, so everyone around me was earning based on skill set. It didn't matter what sex they were. Government is the same. So we know what the right thing is. We just need to move in that direction.
It's come out, I think, who said it, but Jenny, that if you look at the aged care sector alone, it would cost, if we were to get pay equity, pay parity, it would cost the country hundreds of millions of dollars a year in that sector alone. Are we prepared to pay that cost?
Are we prepared not to at Wallace? One of the things that this national government did when they came in is they promised that they would actually address child poverty. One of the best ways of addressing child poverty is to ensure that women get exactly the same pay as males. That is something that we can do and we should do. It's the right thing to do.
That's a really good point, Matt.
Yep. And I agree with, on that last segment when the lady ended, said, I mean, you do have to value yourself. You can't always be judging yourself from other people. But coming back to what I said before, I think there should be publishable accounts around pay inequity between ethnicity and gender that we can then understand in those organisations. And I tell you what, then you'll vote with your feet. Do I want to work there or do I want to shop there?
That's a really good point. I might jump back to Ali Akram, someone in the audience who might agree with that or disagree with that. Publishing an account maybe on the sort of the cafe or the workplace cafe where you've got the sort of bands up on the the whiteboard.
What do you think of Matt's idea?
I think that a lot of people, and perhaps a lot of women, support the families, and maybe that's why they're not able to put as much time into their work. They are certainly the backbone of the New Zealand family, and I think that in certain areas like nursing, that females do just as good a job as males, and should be put in their pay packet.
Wallace?
All right, what do you reckon about that, Fletcher? Yeah,
it's simple as that. It's unfortunate that we're still having to have this conversation now. I've got a family. I'm the only male in the family. I've got daughters, and the wife, and they need to know that in New Zealand society, their effort is going to be rewarded as much as mine.
Just briefly, Jenny, is there anything else that we need to know? For example, some have said, and I'm not sure how accurate it is, but when you go up to your boss, men will put themselves forward. They will ask and they'll challenge and they'll say, we want this much, where women may not tend to do that so much. Is that true or is it not?
That is sometimes true, but as legislators, we should actually do something about ensuring that there is pay equity in this country. We should address it and address it in legislation. It is not good that the country that gave women the first right to vote is still so far behind in terms of pay equity.
Fantastic.